Darren, we're approaching a very exciting period of time for the football club, and the Bees are very much part of that at the moment with their participation in the UEFA Youth League. How excited are you about the prospect of the challenge that awaits the young boys?
Very excited, and most importantly, the players are very excited. I think at a club like Celtic, domestic football is always your bread and butter and what you want to be on top of. But ultimately the barometer is probably in Europe, and certainly at the level we're at in the B team, we look for performances, we look for individuals developing. What better way to mark yourself against the best teams in Europe? So the staff are certainly looking forward to it, but most importantly the players are, and we're looking forward to seeing how they get on, and we've full belief they'll do well.
The Youth League mirrors the first team, so first up for you is Real Madrid on Tuesday. What sort of challenges do you expect the team to face in that game that they won't face in the normal Lowland League campaign?
Truthfully, the biggest thing that the message to the players will be is zero apprehension. So we have a way that we have worked since day one of pre-season. The players have bought into it 100%. They've applied themselves every day to it. It's obviously hopefully a mirror image of what the first team are doing. But naturally, when you come to what are perceived bigger games, you can tense up, you can second guess yourself. So all we'll ask of the players is to have zero apprehension, believe in what we've done from day one and go for it. So I think that's probably going to be the biggest challenge, and that's easier said than done. But as I said, we have full belief in the reason we have this style from the managers. We think if we perform to our highest level, will be tough to stop. So zero apprehension is the message.
Spoke about the excitement of the Youth League, but what better way for these boys to test themselves and see where they are as footballers, to play against the best young footballers in Europe?
That's Celtic. That's where Celtic should be. It's the measure of any player here. When I was here, God, it was a long time ago, 20 years, Tommy Burns, that's a message he would drill into us. Is of course every game is important at Celtic, that you compete, that obviously at the first team level that you win, but ultimately you get judged off the big games, and in Champions League they don't come any bigger.
The youth network at Celtic is all about developing footballers and people that hopefully will get into the first team at a later date in the future. So how important can this youth league be in enhancing that development?
It's absolutely pivotal. So last year it was the first year going into the Lowland League with competitive football, and it's fantastic. And obviously we followed that on this year, but then all of a sudden now drip feeding in the highest level of elite game that you can at their age, in between Lowland League football, is essentially what we're trying to do in terms of style and philosophy and culture with the first team. It's mirroring what they're doing. So the first team will play domestically, and then all of a sudden you're travelling away to Europe on a Tuesday or Wednesday. So from a development point of view, I don't want to say it's perfect, but it's a great recipe. So as I said, we're all really looking forward to it. We're looking forward to seeing how the players react to it. And as I said, I think if we stick to what we've done from day one, we'll be tough to stop.
You speak about the travelling aspect there. That's something you know about from your own professional career at Celtic, where players are expected to go to the biggest stadiums in Europe on a Wednesday and come back and do it again on a Saturday. So how key a learning opportunity will that be for the players to experience that this time around?
It goes back to what I'm saying. We treat every day the same, that we want to be better. Every game or the next game is always the most important one. That's part of our culture. But ultimately, you can't shy away from when you do go and play against the biggest teams in Europe in tough venues and travel away in different environments. You can second guess yourself at times. So it goes back to, we'll see a lot about the player's personality. And ultimately, if you want to play in a first team at the size of this club, you need to have huge personality and huge resilience. So we have full belief in the players. We're really looking forward to it. It'll be a fantastic test. It'll be tough. But if you want to be a Celtic player, you go and you relish. And I fully believe all the players are really looking forward to it.
In terms of the campaign so far for the B team, in recent weeks it's 6 games undefeated, won the last 4, I think they scored 14 goals the last 3 games and not conceded. But from your point of view as a coach, how much do you have to weigh up looking at the results and looking at the overall performance to gauge the development of the team?
Well, to answer your question, I had no idea in any of them stats. That's kind of irrelevant for me and for Stephen. It's each individual performance. Again, what's coming down from the manager, which is very evident in the first team, and hopefully it's evident in our team, is we treat not just every game as if it's the most important, but every minute of every game. So there's been recently where we've been behind in games and we've played at a real high intensity, but just as importantly, we've now been ahead in recent games at 2 and 3-0, and hopefully you see the players playing at the exact same intensity. So every minute of every day is important to us to be at our best, and every game we play in, we want to have our next best performance. So ultimately our next one's against Real Madrid, and hopefully that brings our best performance yet.
In that game against Real Madrid, it will be a 3 p.m. kickoff at the Excelsior Stadium at Airdrie, so an earlier time than the game for the first team. So that's a real great opportunity for fans to come out and cheer on the boys. How important can a big crowd for that game be for these players' development?
In all honesty, it's huge. Again, we talk about it. We have a set way of playing, of training. And I actually spoke about last year, part of being in the Lowland League was when you step out of academy football into competitive football, the external things in the game become an issue for players. Or sorry, when I say an issue, the experience of it is vital. So playing with no people watching is completely different than thousands of people watching. So it affects your emotion in the game. So the more fans we can have, the more we can replicate what the first team go through, the better for the players' experience and development. So I fully understand Celtic fans follow the first team everywhere around the world, phenomenal support, but if they had the chance to get down to support our young players, it would be very much appreciated.
Well, all the best for the game when it does come around, Darren. Thanks very much.
Thank you.